We've talked on the YouTube channel about Counter-Strike and this franchise, past, present, and what we could see potentially in the future. And I want to talk, guys, in this segment of the show about a Counter-Strike sequel. It's something I've talked about a number of times on the YouTube channel that I feel would really help Counter-Strike move forward, the next generation of gaming. Sure, there's so much nostalgia to CSGO and you know, Global Offensive as a whole, but I felt for a long time that CSGO, even though it's got a lot of viewership and the competitive scene is great, I still felt that there's a need for updates consistently on CSGO or just a sequel to Counter-Strike. That being in the form of, you know, new maps, the form of better graphics and things of that nature that I think could really move CSGO forward, or just Counter-Strike as a franchise. And so I want to talk about everything that we know about a potential Counter-Strike sequel. There's been a lot of rumblings that there could potentially be another CS title at some point in the foreseeable future. We're going to break those things down and talk about it here, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So guys, Counter-Strike Global Offensive obviously came out in 2012, and this is a title that, you know, when we look at the grand landscape of first-person shooters, one of the most influential first-person shooters in history, and I don't think there's any debate about that. That being said, though, it's since 2012, right? And so when we think about Valve and how there's a lot of titles that we look at that they've worked on or have created these iconic stories, multiplayer experiences, and to be honest, it's felt that Valve has kind of really just let their pedal off the gas, or let their foot off the gas, so to speak. That being said, you know, we look at titles like Left 4 Dead, you know, there's been a massive fan base that is wanted to see, you know, a continuation of the Left 4 Dead franchise, and of course Valve seemed to totally just stay silent, not be working on anything. At least, you know, nothing publicly has come out saying that they are going to work on a Left 4 Dead sequel in the foreseeable future. And now we have Back 4 Blood coming out from Turtle Rock Studios to obviously be a spiritual successor to none other than, you know, Left 4 Dead. We also see titles like Valorant coming out from Riot Games. These guys are definitely trying to compete against a title like CSGO and be a spiritual successor to CSGO. And so now we see two IPs that are under significant pressure from other titles coming out. So what could a Counter-Strike Global Offensive 2 look like? What could that potentially be, or a sequel, a Counter-Strike, you know, continuation? I think that it would obviously be massive. Being free to play would be huge. Having just a new variety, whether it's different weapons, whatever the case might be, keep it grounded in Counter-Strike, but I feel that there's definitely a lot of possibility here for Valve to make something really, really special. Now, are they going to do it? That's another question that we have to try to answer. There's an article written, guys, by Albert Chang of Win, why Valve is likely to forego CSGO sequel to focus on Source 2 engine update. Between varied evidence found in the game's updates and the logic behind the potential move, it is becoming increasingly clear that Valve will be bringing Counter-Strike Global Offensive to its Source 2 engine. The move only makes sense for Valve. Creating an entirely new entry in the venerable Counter-Strike franchise would break up the game's current base of players. This was a problem previously seen when player counts were split between Counter-Strike 1.6 and Counter-Strike Source. So I totally get that you know, concept that you don't want to split up the fan base, right? But if you had a continuation, I think it continues to build upon the legacy, the lore, the story, the experience, the competitive play of Counter-Strike, right? I mean, look at titles like StarCraft. You have StarCraft 2, which is one of the most iconic real-time strategy games of all time, and it's felt that Blizzard was pretty complacent with just having StarCraft 2. The community became so complacent around StarCraft 2, and I feel like it's hurt it, because over time, StarCraft used to be at the top of esports, has slowly but surely fallen. Sure, there's still a huge fan base around it, but at the same time, it has fallen in popularity. The same thing I'm concerned about happening to Counter-Strike at some point or another, just because of the competition that's out there now. Valorant is becoming massive, and we see all these free-to-play games that are still trying to take a lot of those players away from Counter-Strike. And so a continuation of this franchise, I believe, would be the best move forward for Valve. It would show that they care. Sure, bringing it to a Source 2 is great, right? I mean, maybe they could update the graphics from that. They could update certain things from Source 2. However, I still feel that if you don't have a continuation, kind of like what Blizzard's doing with Overwatch, having a sequel to Overwatch, the first one, they could have easily just continued to pour resources into the first Overwatch, but instead they're going into Overwatch 2 to expand upon the legacy, lore, story, multiplayer, and things of that nature, and I think Counter-Strike could very well and should do the same. It's just become, you know, obviously one of the most iconic titles in esports, in gaming as a whole for first-person shooters. But we don't see titles like Call of Duty being complacent. They're coming out with a new COD every single year. Not saying that Valve needs to do that with Counter-Strike, but I do think it is time to start moving in a direction of, you know, continuing that legacy. So there are also many different companies or websites that offer all kinds of gambling opportunities linked specifically to CSGO. This is part of the reason why players will not easily let go anytime soon. Esports has grown hand in hand with the online gambling. Some operators are even offering real money, such as this Canada casino bonus to participating players. This sort of change could be hugely beneficial to CSGO, freshening up the game with a visual overhaul, could even help to address feelings of burnout that some longtime players may be experiencing. So even pro players are not exempt to these feelings. Olafmeister recently announced a formal break from the game, and multiple Astralis players have stepped back from active play. All this in spite of these players being at the very top of the game's pro scene. Now, let's talk about that for a second. The pro scene is huge, guys, when we talk about CSGO. However, I've got to say, you know, Counter-Strike has started to kind of wear when it comes to the competitive scene, because these players aren't really able to enjoy and appreciate all the wins they're getting, because it's like a new tournament every single week. It's called, you know, what could be massive burnout, and it's really hard to follow the competitive scene because there's new tournaments almost every single weekend. And so it reminds you a little bit of maybe like the UFC. The UFC is trying to have so many different fights, and so it's hard to almost keep up with. The same thing is said here with CS. That's why a Counter-Strike 2 or a Counter-Strike Global Offensive 2 could be something massive. I believe that they could reshape how they do the competitive scene. Obviously, the updated graphics, which they could, of course, do with Source 2, but there's still so much opportunity, I believe, long-term for Counter-Strike Global Offensive 2 or just a Counter-Strike sequel to be something really special, not only from the standpoint of just competitive play, but from an entire landscape of Counter-Strike, and really reclaim its you know, the throne of being the top first-person shooter esport in the world, which a lot of people still say it is, but there's certainly other titles that are coming into the fray that are certainly taking viewership away from Counter-Strike. Obviously, guys, there's also new competition from Riot Games' first-person shooter Valorant. We already talked about this. Some semi-pro players and teams have already transitioned to the new title in hopes of pursuing a professional career beyond CSGO. Valve may be launching CSGO and Source 2 in part as a response to this renewed competition. And I do think that that is something that's very true. CSGO, you know, I think Valve may be doing this in part to the response, and maybe they're going to be working on a Left 4 Dead to compete against Back 4 Blood. But that being said, they're a little bit behind, right? Valorant is now really trying to, you know, take leaps and bounds to kind of lure a lot of those players away from CSGO, and we can obviously see that in a major way. CSGO moving to Source 2 would absolutely bring a variety of technical improvements with it. Overall performance would be better, and the new engine might also play better with people's computers. Even gameplay could be improved in the new engine. And I gotta say, guys, I mean, I agree. You know, it certainly could help. I think a direct continuation, though, would bring back all the, you know, the old players. But I think it would really bring a lot of new people into the fray to actually start at least trying it out, especially if it was free. Counter-Strike is a proven formula, and Valve is significantly committed itself to the success of CSGO. So That being said, I do think that Valve cares about CSGO, but I feel like now with this renewed competition that's there, since there wasn't much competition there for quite some time when we talk about the esports scene, now with other games coming and really starting to look like they're going to dominate the scene, I think Valve is starting to realize they need to start, making changes, and I think a CSGO 2 would be a great place to start. But that's my opinion. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about a CSGO 2, CSGO with Source 2? What do you guys think? Let me know. And for more Counter-Strike content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.